Hey everyone, Omogonix here, and welcome to part 24, and most likely the final part of my tutorial series where I teach you guys how to make a first-person horror game in Godot. So today, we're literally pretty much done. I did do some fixing of a few things off recording. For example, you'll probably notice now that there is a nav mesh out here outside. That's because I just remembered, like, oh, wait a second, when the player runs outside, the enemy won't be able to follow them out here. So that's why I actually added in some of the outside meshes into one of the navigation regions that I have in the scene. I've also just fixed up a few other minor things as well, and I also disabled the ambience music because I think the game is scarier without the ambience music. So yeah, there have been a few changes, but overall, the game is pretty much now ready to release. One thing which I do want to do, of course, is I do want to test out the game before we do end up, publishing it on Itchio. And I will also say that I'm not going to be publishing it publicly. It is just going to be a restricted game, but you guys will be able to access it via a password. So anyways, without further ado, let's actually go ahead and play through this game now, see everything that we've got, and then make sure that everything is actually properly ready to release. So let's go ahead. And here we are. So we have our game dev intro, which basically just shows, our intro. And then we have the warning. This is a horror game, blah blah blah. But anyways, we have our settings menu, which is all good, all works well. Our controls, our credits. Anyways, let's go new game and start. You moved out a while ago and realized just recently that you left a whole lot of money behind in your old safe. The money belonged to your grandfather before he passed on. You are now heading back to the house to retrieve what's yours. So yeah, by the way, I was actually thinking of putting this game on Itchio publicly, but I decided to just do it as like a private release for you guys who did watch the tutorial. Alright. So, let's go. We have our controls show up, and now we're ready. Let's open up this door. And we've already immediately found the key just from opening the first drawer. Nice. Alrighty, let's go. Oh, and also I actually removed the player from being able to show up in the reflection probes by just disabling the player's capsule mesh instance. Oh, and then we have like the light leaking here. So yeah, we'll fix up the light leaking with the lamp. I think that has to do with shadows not showing up. We'll fix that. Alright, now we just gotta figure out the safe or this password. I mean the password for this safe. Oh, there he is. So yeah, obviously before you release a game, one of the most important things that you can do is properly test everything out to make sure it all works. Also send your build to friends and stuff like that as well. Because obviously getting friends to test your game is a good thing. Because, you need the opinions of other people before you go ahead and release a game. So then if you need to, add instructions or, add extra help for players who might get confused over certain things. Design your game better. 3787. Oh. He's just standing right there. I'm just out of his range. But he's probably gonna spot... Oh no, he didn't spot me. But yeah, I was surprised just then. I was just out of his range, it seems. 3787. Confirm. And there we go. Now we got the money and we can leave. And there we go, we left. You escaped the house with all your money, hopped in the car and drove home as fast as possible. You're not sure what happened to the people who bought your place after you left it all that time ago, but blah blah blah. And so yeah, that there was the game. But anyways, one thing I want to do now is I want to actually fix up that issue to do with the light leaking with the lamps, because I think I know what might be causing that. I think it might have to do with the, not being... Yeah, there's no shadows. There's literally no shadows for the lamp. Something else which I like to do is when I, make a light object, like a object with a light that's attached to it, right? Sometimes I like to disable shadows on the other meshes around that light, which they're already off, that's good. And the reason as to why is because then you get these weird shadow effects with the objects that are really close to that light. So yeah, I think there might be a few other bugs to do with the AI, but I am going to be just leaving it off here today. Obviously, if this was a full proper release game of mine, I would actually take the time to go ahead and fix, any other little minor thing. But right now this game seems good enough, and it is a tutorial game after all. But, obviously if you guys plan on doing a full proper release for whatever game you're making, do make sure it's as polished as possible. Make sure to erase as many bugs as you can, even if those bugs take a while to get rid of. Overall though, I think I'm gonna consider this ready to publish on Itchio. Again, it's just gonna be a private release. Alright, so now that we're done with the game, it is now time to export it. So I've actually made a tutorial on exporting games in the past before. If you do want a tutorial that is, more in-depth with exporting games in Godot, you can go check out my other tutorial that I made, my standalone tutorial on that. However, I will be showing you guys the basics of exporting games in this video too, so you might not need to watch that. So anyways, let's go ahead and export the game now. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to go into my export settings here. So where it says project up here, you then want to click onto export. And then here as well, we will export our game. So where it says add, you want to add basically the export preset that you want to use. So if you're making a game with Windows like I am, you would, select the Windows desktop option, or if you're making a game for Mac, you'd select the Mac option, or Linux option. Now, depending on the option you do choose, the way you export the game I think might be a bit different. Like I think there's, certain different options to choose from and stuff like that, right? But anyways, for this tutorial, since I'm using Windows, I'm going to be making a Windows export for the game, so let's go ahead and do that. And now let's talk over some of these options. So we don't need to worry about the custom template option here, but we do need to worry about the export path. So if you select this option here, we can actually select where we want our game to be exported to. So I actually have like a folder dedicated to exporting built games of mine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this Getting My Money, since that's the name of the game. Getting My Money, just like that, and boom. And then I want the file name to just be getting_my_money, and then save, just like that. So now with the console wrapper, this basically will export a console with your game. So what I mean by a console is like the CMD prompt. So this here is the command prompt, and this is basically what the console is in Godot, and it'll basically show up with certain errors you might get during the runtime of your game. Overall, the console wrapper in Godot for your Godot game is actually pretty good if you want to debug your game. So yeah, the console wrapper is more for debugging. So if you want to just select that to be debug only for when you're making debug builds, that's totally fine. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to select no. I don't want to export a console wrapper with my game. However, you can if you want to, if you decide to make like a debug release before your full build, if you want to test things out in an exported build before you do make a release build. But yeah, so yeah, this will be useful if you want to test things out in a debug build before doing a release build. And then we have embed PCK. So this basically just means if you want to embed your package files. So basically, when you export a Godot game, right, it comes with two files. It comes with an executable and a package file, so both exe and PCK for short. And so basically, you can actually add your PCK file, basically merge the PCK file and exe file together, so then it's just one exe file if you want to. So if you want to do that, you totally can. I've played multiple Godot games where they've done that before, where you just download the exe file and that's it. There's no PCK file with it. However, I usually just like to keep this unchecked. You guys can check it if you want to and test it out, but yeah. And then we also have the icons, so this is the icon for our game. So if I was to click onto this option here, and then I was going to my textures, I can select an icon for my game. So I'm just going to select Getting My Money as the logo, just like that, and boom. And if you want to set a console wrapper icon as well, like a separate console wrapper icon, you can totally do that too, if you want that to be separate from your main icon. And then we have our file version. So for me, for example, I'm going to do 1.0.0.0, and the reason as to why I need to do 4 different numbers is because, well, that's what you need to do for Godot. As you can see here, if I only have 3 numbers entered in, it says it's an invalid file version. It actually needs 4 numbers in order to complete the file version. And then you want to do the same for the product version too. Then your company name, this can be the name of your game studio or whatever. For me, I'm just going to be doing my normal name. because that's what I like to do for my games, and then getting my money for the product name. Then you can do the file description and copyright and trademarks if you have any of that sort of stuff. Now, when it comes to all this stuff, you can look into this yourself. As I said, I actually made a tutorial on exporting games in Godot where I talk about some of this extra stuff here. So if you want to look into that, you totally can. But anyways, we've now done the basic stuff to export a game. One other thing which I like to do as well, I'm just going to close that quickly. Luckily it's all saved for us now, but I'm just going to go into my project settings quickly. And where we have the application config stuff here, I like to update this as well before exporting a game. So I'm going to change the name from horror game to getting my money. And then with the icon, I'm just going to set this to getting my money. And then the version, you can fill that in if you want to as well. However, we've already got the product and file version filled in, so we don't really need to fill in that. Anyways, I think we're now ready to release this. We'll export it first, of course. We need to export the game before we release it. But anyways, let's go ahead and export. So I'm just going to save. And now let's go export our game. So now when you've got all this stuff here filled out in your export options, we can just go export project. And now we are ready to export the project. So you can select to export with a debug if you want it to be a debug build. But this is going to be my release build, so I'm not going to do that. Now let's go save. And now your game should be exporting, just like that. Alright, so you'll know your game's been exported when you see a similar line in your debug console just right here, something that says RCE edit, and then you see the path to where your game was exported to. So now we can actually exit our project and go test out our game. Alright, so here's my game. We're going to go test it out now. Hopefully everything goes well. So let's go play. So yeah, before you do publish your game, of course, I do recommend that you do give it a test, since it is important to test your stuff before you before you publish it. Always good to double check things. Audio is a bit loud there, so as I was just trying to say before, when it comes to making a game, one of the things which takes the longest, I find, is the end process of making a game with the polishing and stuff, because polishing and balancing can take a while. All depends on the sort of game you've made, of course. Luckily, this is only just like a smaller game, so it doesn't really take that much. Although there could have been a bit more polishing done. Anyways, let's go test things out. Oh, and also I forgot to oh damn it. Here, wait a second, guys. I think I'm gonna go exit and re-export my game because I forgot to change the default color back to black. Hold on. Alright, so I'm just changing the default clear color back to black. And now I'm gonna go re-export the game again so then we can go test it out properly. Alright, the game's been re-exported. Now let's go test it out again. Alright, here we are. We are officially in the game. Alright, we found the key. There we go. Let's go into this room. And I got caught. Damn it. No, before I do publish this, I actually do want to fix up something to do with the AI, which mainly has to do with it still moving forwards after, getting the player. So I am going to actually go fix up that. Okay, so I was just testing out the game again, and I realized that, yeah, we need to make sure that the AI can't just walk through this trapdoor. So I'm going to have to make a bit of a change there, hold on. But one good thing I will say though is that I did end up fixing up the issue of the AI not stopping when they catch a player. So what I did for that was I basically just added another check into the compute velocity function where we do end not killed, so we're checking if the player is not killed yet, and if the player is killed then the update target location function won't be happening anymore, neither will the compute velocity function, so then there's just no moving whatsoever, just like that. But yeah, so one thing which we need to do is make sure that the trapdoor is going as intended. So one thing which I want to do with that is I basically want to add an exportable variable, so we're going to go export var trapdoor bool. It's going to be a boolean. So the reason as to why I'm creating a trapdoor bool is because this door script that we have is used on a bunch of objects in the game. It's not just used on doors, it's also used on drawers and stuff too. And also our trapdoor. So basically what we're going to do in our toggle door function is if the door is equal to opened, and if trapdoor is true, then what we're going to do is we're going to do locked equals true again. So basically we're going to lock the trapdoor immediately after opening it. And then with our checkpoint trigger script, what we're going to do here is we're going to do so trapdoor.locked will still be true, but I want to grab our animation node and I want to open it like as soon as the checkpoint loads in. So we're going to grab our animation player from the trapdoor. So we're doing trapdoor.getNode animation player. And then we're going to play our open animation. I think it's called open. Yeah, it is. It's just called open. And there we go. Boom. So now, whenever we open up the trapdoor, right, it's going to stay open, and we won't be able to close it ever again. And this will also stop the AI from being able to walk through it as well. It's basically just a very simple fix for that. So yeah, now everything should actually be okay, and we can go export once again. Alright, and now we'll be able to go test again. So also do remember to make sure you do tick the trapdoor ball on your trapdoor. I forgot to mention that as well. Alright, let's go. So now if I try open up if I try close the trapdoor, I can't close it now, it's just gonna stay open. Oh no. I just want to die to him just then, just to test out the trapdoor opening. Yep, the trapdoor is all opened on its own. Alright, so what's the code? 9703? Alright. Alright, now we're ready to go, finally. And we made it. You escaped the house with all your money, hopped in a car, drove off, blah blah blah. So yeah, that there is the game. Now it is ready to publish. Of course, as I said earlier, there could be a bit more polishing I could do with this game, but since it is a tutorial game, I am going to leave it there. But of course, you guys can continue to polish your game if you want to, since I do advise that, you polish your game as much as you can before releasing it. But anyways, let's now get to the publishing side of things. So before I publish a game on Itchio, one thing which I like to do is I like to create a zip file of the actual project of the actual game folder itself. So go to exported game, and then you can right click on it, and just go compress to a zip file, and then we can compress our game to a zip file. Alright, so now that we have our zip folder ready, let's go to Itchio. Alright, so now we're ready to publish our game. So if you don't already have an Itchio account, be sure to make one before you do publish a game on there, of course. Now, publishing a game on Itchio is free as well, so that is one benefit of publishing games in Itchio. So when you are ready to publish a game, just click on your drop-down arrow, and then go upload new project. Alright, so obviously there's a bunch of information to fill out here when you are creating a new Itchio project. So first off is your project's title. For me, it's going to be Getting My Money. And then you got to do your cover image. I actually made a cover image in a previous part in the tutorial. I can't remember if it was part 22 or part 23. But anyways, I'm going to be uploading that cover image that I made. Alright, so I just upload the logo, and there it is, Getting My Money. I must say that is a pretty neat looking little logo there. And you can give your project a short tagline or description as well. For me, it's just going to be, I guess, go back to your old house and grab your money. And then if you have like a gameplay video or a trailer, you can also put the link for that in here as well. I'm not going to be doing a trailer for this, so yeah. And then we can also add screenshots. So I've got a couple screenshots here. So I'm going to select maybe 5 or 7 of these screenshots that I took to use. Alright, so I just selected 7 random screenshots. Although I think it only selected 6. Yeah, it did. One thing to remember as well is make sure that your screenshots are under 2 megabytes in file size. I think the reason as to why my 7th one didn't upload there is probably because it was over 2 megabytes in file size. Do remember that. You can also, choose your pricing for your game as well. Usually what I do for a lot of my free games is I do $0 or donate, so then people can donate if they want to. But of course you do need to connect up payment processes for that. And of course, if you ever do plan on uploading something that's not a game but is something else, you can also, change that classification here as well. And then the release status, like if your game's still in development or if it's just a prototype or something, then you can put that up, you can change that type as well. And then of course we do need to upload our files, so I'm going to go quickly upload my file, which is the, the game zip folder. And there we go. So it should just take a bit of time. As we're uploading this as well, I will explain the description. So yeah, now we got to do a description for our game. I should have probably wrote one up before going ahead and creating this Itchio page. What I like to do sometimes is I like to open up Windows Notepad, and then I like to write up a mock-up description, like a draft description, which I then paste in here and then edit as I wish. but I guess today we're going to have to write one from scratch. But anyways, now that this is finished uploading a file, if you want to, you can change the display name of it. Usually what I do is I go click on change display name, and then I just get rid of the .zip at the end. So then it's just, the name of the game. And if you want to as well, you can do like a version number, like version 1.0, if you plan on uploading other versions of the game as well. Alright, so now let's fill in the description. So I'm not going to do, too big of a description since, this is just a tutorial game after all, and I'm not making it public. It's just going to be a private game. You moved out of your house a while ago and realized you left inheritance money behind. Oh, spelt that wrong. It's time to go back and get that money. Alright, so that's basically going to be the base description of the game. If you want to as well, by the way, you can also, choose to format your text. You can also include images in your description. You can also do GIFs if you want to. Overall, Itchio is pretty customizable with how you can customize your Itchio pages. But for this, I'm going to do a heading 2 above the this description here, and it's just going to be like story. And I think above that, I'm actually going to do something above that too. I want to do like an about section, or should probably do another header. About. This game was made for a tutorial series on my YouTube channel. If you're reading this right now, that most likely means you watched this series. Because, well, only people who watch this full series will be able to check out this game when they check out this part. So if you want to as well, you can do a section where you can talk about the features of your game. Sometimes I might do this, talk about the notable features or whatever. Honestly, I don't really see a point in talking about the features for this game necessarily, since I don't really think there is too many interesting features in this game, since everything is, just quite standard. I mean, I'm personally not going to add a features part to the description, but I usually do with most of my games. So yeah, if you do want to do a features part to your description, just again, what I'd recommend you do is you add a heading, so something like features, and then you go to the list section here, then you select something like unordered lists, and then you just list out your features just like that. Then of course you can select your genre. For this, I think I'm just going to do, I guess other, because I don't really think my game would fit into any of these kinds of descriptions here. I mean, any of these kind of genres here, so I'm just going to go other. And then you can do your tags. So usually what I do when making a horror game is I do, horror, 3D if it's a 3D game, single player, stuff like that. Maybe creepy, that sort of thing. Usually I try to add as much tags as possible when doing my games. It's good to just look through the list and see what tags do match up with your game. Like for example, here we found indie, we can put that in. Godot, you can also put that tag in. So I think I'm just going to do 5 tags for this, but as I said, I usually try fill this up as much as possible. You can add a max of 10 tags. And no, this game does not use AI. Make sure you do properly disclose that. And then you can even do like a custom noun for your game. So if you want your game to be referred to as something else other than a game, you can do that. And then of course your download and install instructions. So I'm actually going to go into one of my other games right now, and I'm going to go copy a bit of text which I usually write for most of my games, and then I'm just going to paste it in here, so I'll be right back. Alright, so this is what I have here for my download and install instructions. As I said, this is something which I wrote for my games a while ago, and now I just use this same thing I wrote for most of my games these days. But yeah, it just tells the person how to actually properly install the game so they can play it. And then when you're ready, and you've got all your stuff filled out, I recommend just keeping as a draft at first, but we can go save and view page, and we can actually view how our Itchio page looks like right now for the game. So right now things look quite basic. If you do want to, add more customization to your Itchio page, you can go edit theme. And then here we can change the background and the text and the link color and all that sort of stuff. So I'm actually going to go add a banner for my game, so I'm going to go click on upload. And here you can actually see I have my itch banner here. I'm going to select this, and boom, just like that, we now have a banner for the game. I'm now going to change the background color. Might make it black. And in BG2 we can do like a dark red for this. And I'll do the text as white. And the link text, I might make that, we'll do green for that, although it doesn't really match up. maybe yellow. Actually, no, we'll do green, because it does match up in some sense. And you can also change the font if you want to as well. I think I'm just going to keep the font as sans serif. You can also change the header font specifically if you want to. And you can also change the header colors too, if you find that useful. And if you want to as well, you can upload a background image. So for example, I'll just select one of my game screenshots here like this, for example. And so what your background is it just covers up your background here. Now I'm going to make it a fixed image, which basically means it just keeps its position on the screen. And I'm also going to change the BG2 alpha to something lower, just so we can see this image behind it, just like that. And boom, so there's our game page done, our theme at least. Oh, I just realized we have that text there, but oh well, who cares. Anyways, the game page is looking quite good. One final thing which I want to do is I want to actually include the link to my tutorial series here in this section, so I'll be right back. I'm going to grab the link to that. Alright, let's just paste this link in here, go save, view page, and yep, it's all there. Alrighty. So everything is pretty much done now. So, of course, there is other stuff you can do as well. Like if you go into edit game again and then you go into the metadata section, you can fill out some metadata here. Something which I like to do is I like to add in like keyboard and mouse, so you can add in your control options for the input methods, you know, how long you think the person's going to be playing for, the languages that are in your game. You don't need to do this, but you can if you want to. And then there's also like the accessibility options you can put in there if you have certain accessibility options. But yeah, you can also fill in the engines and tools section as well. And then you can also select the Godot version that we used, and boom. Alright, so yeah, overall, that's pretty much it. I'm now going to set the access of the game to restricted. And I'm also going to allow you guys to view the page with a password. So in order to access this page, you'll just need to type in the password Omogonix. Just as simple as that. That's all you'll need to access the game. And boom, it is now ready. So yeah, if you're watching this tutorial, you can now check out the game. I'll even include a link in the description below. So yeah. Anyways, thank you all for watching this series, and all the way to the end as well. I will say that since I started this series, I have definitely improved a lot on my Godot skills, because I mean, I'm always improving, and especially this year I have already improved a lot too. And, you know, as I continue to make this series, because I've improved so much, right, you know, I sort of look down on this series, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm not really excited to, you know, record for this, because I'm so much better now. I'd rather just restart this whole series again. As you improve, you start to sort of, you know, look back at certain things as being bad or whatever, and even this series, even though it was something that I was continuing, you know, I still thought that it was like bad as I continued on with it, you know, because I just look at, you know, the code I've done or something like that, right, and I'd realize to myself like, oh, you know, I'm so much more efficient now, I could do this so much more better now. But you know, I continued on because, you know, you guys find this series helpful, and I do think it is good for beginners. You know, obviously there are definitely, you know, better methods I could do for certain things, which I have realized by now. And also, I feel like I didn't really hold up to my promise of this being a game that's going to be like the same quality as my usual games that I release as well. But, you know, hopefully this tutorial series did help you guys out. And, you know, I might even do another one in the future. Yes, I know I've already done 2 of these series, but, you know, as I said, I'm always improving, and I just want to show you guys, you know, the best way to do things possible. So I might do another one of these series in the future, but, you know, just, you know, even more planned than before, because, you know, this series, you know, I did plan this out more than my previous one, but I still feel like I should have planned it out more in the end. And also I feel like, you know, things just get a bit overwhelming, you know, with the stuff that I have to do for the game and stuff like that, especially when it comes to like the polishing and stuff. But yeah, overall, I just need to plan you know, if I do another one of these series in the future, right, like a much better one, I do want to plan it out a lot more, because I just want to make, you know, the best tutorials possible for you guys to learn from. Anyways, thank you all again. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy. And I'll see you all in my next video, which will probably be a tutorial, or, you know, a video where I play one of your games, or one of my older games. Who knows what my next video will be. But anyways, thank you all for watching this series. That's going to be the end now. Again, hopefully it did all help you out. I mean, obviously it's a good thing that I'm always improving, but, you know, the one thing that does suck about improving is, you know, realizing, like, oh, wait a second, I could have done certain things here better or here better, and then you just sort of have, like, regrets and stuff. But anyways, see you all soon next time. Thank you all again for watching, and bye-bye.